After launching the Redmi Note 9 Pro and the Redmi Note 9 Pro Max, of course Xiaomi had to launch the plain Jane Redmi Note 9. Sure, many people are going to consider that Xiaomi is flooding the market with a lot of similarly spec smartphones, considering the Poco M2 Pro is also a derivative of the Redmi Note 9 Pro. But at the same time, the Redmi Note 9 is quite different from its other siblings. And I'm here to tell you why it remains the gold standard for an affordable smartphone, for your first smartphone. In terms of performance, this is one of the first phones to be powered by MediaTek's Helio G85 chip. Now this chip is not on the same level as the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G, which you find on phones like the Poco M2 Pro, but at the same time I would say the performance is close enough, actually really good for day-to-day tasks, and it also provides you enough gaming grunt that you can have your PUBG, your Call of Duty Mobile or Fortnite sessions humming along decently. But the only issue most people will find is that those graphics, those frame rates may not be as shimmery or dazzling as on a phone like the Redmi Note 9 Pro, which is powered by the Snapdragon chip. But for most people, this is going to be more than adequate. At the end of the day, what really matters is what you're getting in that price, and at the core of it, that old Mumbai saying of "itna ich mein itna hi milega" truly applies to this phone, because you really can't get better performance on any smartphone at the same price. And one of the big things about this chip is that it propels the camera system on this phone. A camera system which is largely the same as the Redmi Note 9 Pro, and we all know how good that camera system is. You get the same Samsung 48 megapixel camera, you get a wide angle, macro and even depth sensor. If you give this phone good lighting, it's going to take really good photos. It's not going to disappoint you. And even in low light situations, it gets a night mode and it does something really impressive. It punches above its weight and takes some really usable photos. Video is capped off at 1080p, but I feel that's fine for a phone at this price. But the real star of the show of this phone has to be its battery life in typical Redmi fashion. You get a battery which is upwards of 5000 mAh, which can charge at 18 watts, capping up in about 2 hours. But there's also software update waiting for this phone, which will increase the speed of the charging to 22.5 watts. Now I've not tested that, but surely it's going to be faster than 2 hours. But if you really think about the battery life of this phone, you're only going to be charging this phone once in 2 days. This phone represents true 2-day battery life, even if you're going to be doing a lot of gaming. So that's going to be the big deal about this phone, and that's why people really love Redmi smartphones. In terms of software, you are getting plain Jane MIUI 11. Sure, it's not the latest version of MIUI, but MIUI is actually highly loved, used by millions of users, and it's quite simple to use. It's quite straightforward. The only thing that I've never liked about MIUI is the incredible bloatware that it comes with, and for the first time, this phone also gets a little less bloatware. The bloat that was being caused by a lot of those Chinese apps that India banned aren't there anymore, which is also a great thing. So, long story short, if your budget is capped off at 12k, then this is the phone to go for. You are not going to get a more formidable package than this phone. But at the same time, I must say, if you spend a little more, then you can get much better phones like the Redmi Note 9 Pro, the Poco M2 Pro, or you can even level up to a 64 megapixel camera system with the Redmi Note 9 Pro Max. But at 12k, itna ich mein, itna hi milega.